What is up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? My name, of course, is Drew, the DH. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Mr. Newman. Mr. Newman, how are you doing on this fine day?
Good. Back in snowy Syracuse after doing the Sunday show remotely from Pittsburgh.
I hear you, man. Once again, did you at least have fun at the game? Was it everything you wanted? I mean, your little duck went duck hunting and everything.
It,
So
yeah, it was a great weekend. Anytime the Steelers win, we make a 2 or 3 day event out of it, and then if it culminates in a Steeler win, obviously that's the cherry on top. So good weekend.
well, guys, before we get into everything, as always, two simple clicks, and you're here on the show. Call in, come hang out with myself and Mr. Newman. Talk football with us. If you got a question on who you think should win a spread, if you disagree with the stuff that we're about to say, anything, just come on. If you just want to brag about how great your team did this week, jump on. I mean, that's what this show is for, and that's what we want this show to be about. So make sure you call in, and we'll get you on the show. That being said, John, before we get into it, there's something that I want to discuss.
You're. Who would have thought Dan Quinn would have outlasted Ron Rivera?
You got that right, and the funny thing is Ron Rivera. Let's go on and talk about Mr. Ron Rivera. Well, I'll say this. It happened way earlier than I expected. I expected him to make it through the season. But I did not. Hold on. In honor of Mr. Ron Rivera, we've got to give him his eulogy today. We'll throw the Undertaker theme song for you guys.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm at WWE.
Yeah, well, I had to give Ron Rivera his proper send off. I wanted to wear my Panthers jersey. I will wear it Sunday, but yes, he is gone. Ron Rivera is gone. I thought it would take a lot longer than it was going to. What's up, Don Ford, my main man? How's it going, dude? Call in the show, talk some shit. Your team's kicking ass. But I thought it was going to take so much longer. But I keep forgetting that we have a new owner in Tepper. And this was the first time since Tepper's been an owner where he put his foot down and said, you know what? This is my team. I'm not happy. You're not performing up to standards, and let's be honest, have not for a long time. Go. And I love it. It just caught me off guard because we've had one owner our entire franchise existence who would never do this. Richardson rode out winless seasons, without firing coaches that deserved to be fired well before even that season started. So it was a very big surprise to see him fired when he was, but I could not be happier. This is exactly what the Panthers need. Exactly what we need. This season's a wash. First, put Brian Burns back in because whatever he did to get in Rivera's doghouse, it's killed him. But put him back in. Let him show that he is the dominant defensive force that he is. The choice for interim head coach was a little questionable with Perry Phil. I feel like I'm talking about Jane's Addiction here. I didn't know he was the head coach. But a secondary coach going, why Paul what? Why what? But a secondary coach becoming the Panthers head coach feels odd. I know it's interim, but there were better options. And those better options are who I'm about to say. Norv Turner moved up from offensive coordinator to special assistant to the head coach, which pretty much Norv Turner didn't want that head coach label. And Perry Farrell is basically in between gigs, and whenever he's not on the road, he's going to come in and do the interviews because otherwise, why make that special assistant role? But and Turner's son Scott is going to become the offensive coordinator. Terrified about that. Forget about the offense the rest of the year. He's a quarterback guy, and that's it. But I'm very happy it happened.
Yeah, Scott Turner's never called plays in the NFL. Sunday will be the first crack at it. Hey, Drew, your mic's muted.
Paul, I'm not saying it's bad timing. I'm saying that it shocked me. Like, just because we've had this ownership for so long that would never do this. Firing him now, I figured, I mean, you've got a backup quarterback for 90% of the season, and you haven't fired him by now. Like, I just expected a couple of games left. I mean, Perry Farrell and Norv Turner aren't going to implement anything new. There's not going to be any culture change that quick. So why make that move now of all times is the only thing I'm questioning. I love it. Fine, get rid of it. This season is a wash. I don't even want us to make the playoffs because we're not going anywhere. And get a better draft pick, fill some holes, move on next year. We're a piece away, especially with a great coach. Especially when the Patriots dynasty breaks up because they're a not good football team, like I've been saying, and Josh McDaniels comes available. He's perfectly fine to come on over and coach Carolina. I think he'd be great. But I don't think it's bad timing. It's just it's not what any Panther fan and any lifelong Panther fan is used to in the 25 years of this existence. But like I said, it's that first sign of that new ownership, and I love it.
Yeah, I think once it became apparent, Drew, that they weren't making the playoffs this year, like you said, Tepper knew he wasn't going to keep Rivera, and they just figured why not just do it now. I also read one of the reasons he did it now is while he may not like him as a coach, he respects him as a man and wanted to give him an opportunity to maybe already line up a job and get him going early on that.
I think it has a little bit to do with that, and I think it has a lot more to do with he wants a head start on filling his coaching vacancy. Because let's be honest, out of all the jobs that are going to come open, Carolina is going to be the most attractive. You have Cam Newton as either, depending on if the coach coming in likes him or doesn't like him, you have him as a major trade piece. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have a great defense that's struggling because of a couple injuries, a switch over to 3-4, just a couple of small little things that have caused them to take a step back. Couple of holes filled there, and you're fine. You're looking at a team that's 2-3 pieces away, and not major skill position pieces, maybe one skill position piece away from a Super Bowl. So this job is going to be incredibly enticing to coaches. There's not a ton of media scrutiny, but you've got everything in place to build a team around in your vision, but already have a lot of MVP caliber type players at your disposal. So, I mean, I think he did it more as we see a lot of coaches get fired in the next couple weeks. Carolina's going to be talking to these coaches already. They're going to get those interviews in. Tepper's going to be talking to ownership about him, doing his due diligence on these guys. I think he just wanted that head start. It just, as I said, it shocked me. God, I'm loving this funeral over there today.
So I have to ask you, Drew, I'll ask you two questions.
Well, and then I want to answer Brandon's. But
all right. But who do you want and who do you think you wind up with?
Who do I want? I don't know because I don't know who's available yet. I will preface it with this. I want an offensive-minded coach from the new branch off of these Belichick's and Parcells, not the old timers. I want someone young to come in. I don't need a McVay. I don't need some dude that's like 12, 14 years younger than me at 35 coming in and coaching right out of college. I don't need anyone like that, but I want an offensive oriented coach because we have the defensive personnel that we have top to bottom, lines to corners, coordinators. I love them. We're set. We just need the pieces to come together. And frankly, these guys are switching from a 4-3 to a 3-4 with most of these guys have been doing their entire career. So it is a change, and there's going to be some time to make an adjustment. Ha, Brandon. Yeah, I know. Panthers suck, blah, blah, blah. 28-3, bud. At least when we got to the Super Bowl, the 28-3 didn't happen. But I forgot my beautiful sign while I was talking about this. We'll go on and set that up. And that sums up Ron Rivera as a whole. 2011 to 2019, what could have been. He's a guy that could have been so much more, but missed out on everything. But who I want depends on who's out there. I just want someone offensively. Who do I think we end up with? I don't know. For some reason, like a lot of media outlets have picked up on this Jim Harbaugh stuff. He has zero. What up, Marty? Yeah, and you guys never had a good chance against Brady's old ass. All right, Brandon, troll me during the week. If you got some serious football to ask, call in and talk. Not tight, buddy. But what's up, Sparty? Nice to talk to you, Marlon. But anyway, the quarterback like that I would like would be an offensive-minded guy. Otherwise, really, I mean, I don't know who's out there. Who do you think is a good fit for Carolina? Before we move on to our picks.
I think you mentioned McDaniels from New England. I don't know if he leaves. This, like you said, with a McCaffrey as a running back, that's truthfully better than any weapon skill set player that he's got in New England. So that might entice him. We know what happened once before. He actually took a job and then did a 180 and my bad, I'm not coming. I don't know if there's anyone from the college ranks. I'm going to guess Tep probably wants to go with some experience here. So, man, I don't know. I mean, a lot, like you said, is going to come from some of these other moves too. He might be an assistant on a staff where a head coach is getting fired and the staff usually goes with him. So they probably want to see who's out of that tree when it gets chopped down as well. The hot college guys, if you will, that get mentioned now is obviously, and I'm not saying that these are logical or what happened, but Saban, Urban Meyer, like you said, Harbaugh, those sort of guys. Your mic's muted.
For some reason, it keeps muting itself tonight. Paul, don't you ever make such a terrible joke ever again. Jason Garrett can stay far away from Carolina. Don't you ever make – that's like saying Dan Quinn. Get that crap out of here. But anyway, guys, enough on this man. I will just say one more time, Ron Rivera, rest in peace. Most of Panther Nation, we will not miss you. You're welcome to come back as a DC, though. But anyway, we're moving on to our picks, guys. That's what this show is about. It's our picks and preview show where we give you our picks of the week, and then we give you some DFS stars. And first up, of course, we're going to go into our picks. Both of us went 2-2 last week. Or no, I went 3-1. You went 2-2, I believe. So I think I did actually catch a game. And we've got an interesting slate this week, John. So I'm going to let you start it off. And
All right.
what is your first pick of the week?
Well, I went with something I normally don't do, a couple over and unders, but the one game I didn't pick over and under, I just went with the point spread. I just watched this team play. They didn't play that well, thankfully, because my team beat them. But that's the Cleveland Browns, favored by 8 over the Bengals. And I just see this. I know Andy Dalton's in there. I know the Bengals just beat the Jets. I know that guy can come down off the roof. But I just think this is a Browns. They're still in the playoff hunt, not by much. They really can't lose anymore. And this is a game where I think it's a Baker Mayfield type game where he goes off and so I'm gonna take the Browns and the 8 points. I know the Bengals are just played better and won their first game, but they're not playing for nothing. The Browns sort of still are, and I think they take their frustrations out on Cincinnati. They're cross state rivals.
Okay. Well, you know, I don't know. That's a tough one for me because I like that. I think it could easily happen. I do think this could be a game where Baker finally shows he does have some talent in that body of his that he hasn't shown this year. And I sure hope they do good because if they don't, I think Freddie Kitchens is gone. The one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing in the next couple of weeks is if they get OBJ involved, if they can figure out a way to get Odell involved in this offense that makes sense, not throw him targets for the sake of throwing him targets, but there's no game plan designed around him whatsoever. He's not doing anything. And that's where I think you're gonna need to see a massive, massive, massive improvement. Otherwise, I mean, I just don't see Kitchens lasting. And so for me, I'm with you. I think the Browns win this game. The thing that scares me is the spread at 8. The Browns have a tendency to get ahead, then kind of coast. So the 8 scares me, but I like the overall pick.
Yep. And staying in that game, Drew, I also took the over under in this, and I went with the over 41. I see this kind of a high scoring game, sort of on both sides. I see a kind of 33-17 type score. Obviously, I picked the Browns, so a 33-17 type score. And that, when you add that up, I just came up to about 48, 50, 52 points. So I think 41 seems I'll probably lose this saying this now, but 41 seems low. Both of these defenses are nothing to be scared about. And so I mean Cleveland's not bad, but Pittsburgh even put 17 up in the second half with a third unit quarterback. So
but you can say at the exact same time, you can point to a bunch of games where they held teams to 3, 6, and 9 points all game. So I mean, it can go either way. I think that if I was gonna take this game, I completely agree with you. I think it could hit the under because I think Baltimore now, especially considering the Patriots are, well, I won't say anything yet, but I think Baltimore is going to get to the point where they're going to be able to cruise a little bit. And I think this is a game where you might not see them try and put up the 35-42 that they're used to because I don't think they're going to need to, personally, even being Buffalo. But I do think Buffalo's defense actually has the personnel, the linebacking personnel, to keep up with Lamar Jackson, turn him into a throwing quarterback, which he's a great throwing quarterback, but at least eliminate the run. If they can eliminate the run, they can turn it into a low-scoring game, which is why I like the under the 43.5.
Yeah, you're talking about my Baltimore Buffalo game.
Yeah.
So which I'm taking, like you said, I'm going under the 43.5. uh, this one was made me think. I'm not gonna lie, I almost didn't do it. I'm not overly confident about it because of the way Lamar Jackson's playing. I took the under in this game, Drew, because I think you got two really good, solid defenses, and I just don't see the scoreboard lighting up. And so
Yeah.
I see sort of
Yeah.
a 24-10, 20-14
That's where I was
type
at on
game.
this. Oh, and
And
going back to the Cleveland Cincy game real quick. That over a 41, I completely agree with you on the fact that I do think that's going to be an absolute shootout. Dalton looks to be settling in Cincy. Cincy looks to be trying to end the year playing a little harder. I think they're still going to lose by I think they're going to lose by 5 to 7 points, but I easily see that going over. But on to your lock of the week, my man. Sorry to mix those games up for
no,
you there.
that's all right. That's all right. We recovered. I went with the lock. I picked this one, and again, rare week when I went with a
I
lot of over
know.
and unders. It's
I know.
crazy. But I felt more confident actually in the over unders this week than the point spread. It should be the other way around, but this week was the over and under, and I went with the Kansas City Chiefs New England Patriots game. I didn't want to touch the favorite or the underdog as far as point spreads go, but it's the over under is 49. I'm going with under. I think we all know New England's strong point of their team is their defense. I think they will. Belichick, as we all know, his niche is to take away the other team's best player and kind of neutralize him. So I think Mahomes is going to have a little struggle. I think he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He'll still find ways to get some stuff done, but I think Kansas City's not going to score like they would if they were playing maybe somebody else. And we all both know New England's got some offensive problems. So I don't see them. I'm not saying Kansas City Chiefs defense is lighting it up either, but I just don't see the Patriots really being able to score a lot of points either. So I think this is a game where Kansas City gets slowed down a little bit, and it's a game where New England continues to try to score points. And so I
Dude,
see kind of a low scoring game.
I could not agree with you more. And you know what? This could even be a high scoring game, and I still think you're fine because you said the Patriots are struggling. If we got to pick many more games, I would have picked for Kansas City to beat New England outright. I still think that bet's a very good bet. New England has a lot of problems. They're in a free fall right now. What did I say on this show a couple of weeks ago? As soon as you see them fall behind by more than a touchdown, it will be impossible for them to come back no matter the team. What's happened right when they played Houston? Fell down early, never had a chance to come back. There are major, major problems in New England right now with that offense. With Kansas City, no, they do not have the best defense in the world. Look at Tom Brady's numbers against some defenses a lot worse than Kansas City. They're awful. The only way that New England stays in this game is if they can completely shut Mahomes down and force at least 2 to 3 turnovers, or have special teams just put them in immaculate field position to where enough field goals can add up to, take away the fact that they have no offense. Otherwise, New England, I mean, it's crazy for me to say this. I'm not a New England fan, but I'll always admit they're an awesome team. This year, they're an awesome defense. They're an awesome team, and they're awesomely coached. But their quarterback and their offense, bottom of the league. So I completely agree with this at under 49. All right, guys.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, go
keep
ahead.
going.
Go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't see this a game where New England's going to put up 20 or more points, and so they're going to score their 17-20, maybe. And I think the recipe for them is what you said. It's gonna be a ground and pound type of game plan to keep Mahomes off the field, hope for turnovers when he's on it. And so New England's got to try to grind out like a 20-17 or 17-14 type game. So yeah, I don't see that from I don't see New England scoring 35 points.
Okay, Brandon, please explain to me this before we move on. I wish you would call the show so we could have this discussion, man. Come on, call the show so we can have this discussion right here. If you call in right now, just click here. I'll even post the banner up right here. You can click the button and you can jump right in and call in, and we can actually have this discussion on air because I'd like to actually hear your reasoning on this as well. But yeah, simply click that link right there. It's 2 clicks and you're on. But you just said at work, yeah. Okay. How in the world is New England going to score 35 points? How many? Well, wait. First of all, how many of the points is the offense going to score? First of all, because they're not scoring 35. And then tell me where you're going to keep those 35 points from. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Now, could Brady do that in the past? Could you keep Brady down in the past? No. But I think we're seeing clear as day, week after week, it's being shown it's not the same Tom Brady anymore. It's not. And I mean, it's sad for a lot of people, not for me. I can't wait to see other people again, but he's not the same Brady anymore. But guys, we're going to move on now to my picks of the week now that we've got Newman's, and then we're going to go right into our DFS. But please, guys, call into the show. Simply click that link. It's literally, you click the link, you're in here in the waiting room in 1 to 2 minutes, and that's it. Like, it's incredibly simple, so please call in. But we're going to go with my first pick of the week. And let's see. I'm trying to debate which one we're going to go with first here. I'll say my first, we're going to go with a good one here. And that is... That is going to be the Colts at +3. The fact that the Colts are even underdogs in this game blows my mind. Because, I mean, I know they've been struggling and I know they've had, their fair share of injuries, but I don't know. Jacoby Brissett, the Colts, they're playing great, at least in my opinion. They've got a game. They're playing Tampa. They're playing Tampa of all teams. Jameis Winston, the turnover machine. They can keep up with Tampa. They're 3-point underdogs, and they're on the road, which means Vegas basically thinks that this is a pick'em game because they're giving Tampa that 3 points because they're on the road. So, I mean, I don't know. You give me that little of a schedule, no major injuries besides Ebron going down, and I told you how much I liked their backup tight end last week. If you give me 3 points playing the Bucs and the turnover machine that is Jameis Winston, I'll take it all day long. I think Brissett has a pretty good game this week, and Indy covers at +3.
Yeah, you're not gonna like my answer here. I almost took this game the other way. I think Tampa Bay. I'm not a Winston fan, as we both know.
Oh yeah, no.
But he can, with Godwin and Evans, he'll get 4 touchdowns and then throw 3 picks. And so I see Tampa Bay scoring some points here. They're at home. It's not going to be a blowout. I think, like you said, the Colts will be in the vicinity, but I actually do see, as crazy as it sounds, I do see Tampa Bay getting out of here with a W.
Okay, well, I mean, I can see him getting out of there with the W. I just don't know if they win by 4, because that's why I took him at 3. I can see this being a field goal game, and that field goal keeps me, or I can see him winning outright. But anyway, moving on to, well, let's see. moving on to the very next pick. This is one that it's very odd to have them in football these days, but it's a pick'em game. It was actually one of the only game uh, that was an actual pick'em, and for some reason it blew my mind that this actually was a pick'em game. So I'm going with the Seahawks as a pick'em game. I absolutely love Seattle in this matchup. I think they have I think they have a clear advantage, especially. I mean, the Rams are free falling. Let's be honest. The Rams are free falling. I thought I counted the Seahawks out last week and thought, and I mean that was stupid of me. And I thought that they were going to get run all over, and I thought the blueprint was found on them. Well, let's be honest. First of all, LA and Gurley, they don't have the line anymore to be able to do that running game. McVay is not adjusted. I see the Rams honestly at 7-5. So you're looking at 12 games. You're looking at 4 games left. I honestly see the Rams at 9-7 to end the year, which who would have thought it? But I think they end at 9-7. I think this is one of their losses. And if you're giving me just a pick 'em, like Seattle doesn't even have to win by anything, just win, I'll take it all day long. So I've got Seattle.
All right, this game, I looked at it, and I agree with it being a pick 'em because I had a hard time really. If I had to pick a winner, I could make an argument actually both ways. And
Yeah,
I
you
know the
easily
Ram,
can.
yeah, I know the Rams aren't playing lights out football, but I think what happens here, Drew, and I'm going into a little bit of the DFS side here, but I think
Good.
I think what happens here is McVay's got to see. I think he's handled Gurley with kid gloves, not giving him a ton of carries, kind of coddling him, and not driving him around the city very much, just around the block. And I think he's got to see with Gurley what he's got and whether or not he's got to go out for another running back because I don't know. Daryl Henderson might be a complimentary back. He may
So do
still
you
need.
think do you think the Rams have chalked this up to a lost season? It and basically are saying it's Gurley or nothing. They're just going to see what they have in Gurley 100%, and whether he leads them or not basically depends. You think they're basically chalking it up to look, everything I've done until now has not worked. We're not able to change everything. It's too late. So let's hand it to our bell horse who we've let him sit as much as NBA players like to sit. I mean, he's healthy. Do you think they just give it to him and say, good luck, lead us to the promised land? And if not, oh well? Because, I mean, look at they're 7-5 with 4 tough games left.
I think everything you said is correct with one slight difference. I don't think they're mailing it in or they think they're done. I think they still think they can make some noise and make the postseason and make some noise there. And that's why I think they go. I think they go. They want to see how much can they give Gurley the ball and rely on him, and how effective he will be getting 20 plus carries a game. So they know where they stand, not only the rest of this year, but next year as well, whether they make the playoffs or not this year. So I think they're really going to test Gurley out and take the car out of the garage, as they say, and run it and really put some miles on it and see how it holds up and where they stand with him. And that'll be interesting in its own right. Seattle, they're a really Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type team.
They
And and
are. They
and
are.
and Russell Wilson, he's had a great year, but he's kind of been, in the last 3-4 games, sort of just a very good quarterback, not a great quarterback. And so the Rams defense still has some playmakers on that side of the ball. I can make a case that either team wins it, which is probably why this is a pick'em game in Vegas. Why I didn't pick it at all, because I really wasn't strong either way with who wins. But I just think Gurley. This is what I'm going to call the Gurley game. I think the Rams just want to see what he's got left. How many, give him more carries, see how he performs and how he holds up, so they know where they stand with him on the roster.
I hear you. Well, before we get into the rest of the picks, like I said, guys, we always want you guys to call in, whether if it's on this show, it can be DFS or gambling related or anything you want. And then, of course, on the Sunday show, anything. But right now, we've got a returning caller, it looks like, unless this is deceiving me. Looks like it's a little brighter and we might actually be able to see his face this time. But that, of course, is Mr. Blake Sutton. Blake, how you doing, bud?
I'm hanging in there, man. Doing a lot better now that I'm off work.
And that Ron Rivera's fired, I'm assuming.
Yes.
It's a great time. All right, so what's going on, bud? Thanks for dropping in.
No problem, man. I was just wondering about the reasoning behind the timing of Ron Rivera being let go.
The reasoning?
Yeah, behind the timing. Why wouldn't they wait till after the season?
Okay, well, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but
I missed the
okay, well, basically, I would. There's a bunch of possible reasons. There could have been a massive locker room blow up. There's been a lot of disconnect in the locker room, especially between the doctors and the players, which that ultimately falls on Rivera. Those are guys hired by him. There's been a lot of change in staff, shifting positions midway through the season. Lots of small, odd things that are just they're not things conducive of a working environment. For the first time this year, for the first time ever, if you look at the sidelines the last 3 weeks, you see a team that's not rallying behind a coach that's fighting for his job. Yeah, Brandon, he did get fired on his day off. I know. It's pathetic.
I saw that Friday meme.
Yeah, but I mean it could come down to a lot of things, but I think it came down to Tepper. Tepper wants to put his stamp down. He is not going to be a Richardson type owner. He is not going to sit back and let all the other chips fall and then pick up the remaining chips for a bargain. Tepper is going to make moves. He's going to make drastic moves, and he's going to make moves to build the franchise in his mold, how he wants it. He's been spending the first little bit of time on his front office, and he's done an incredible job with that, which thing that a lot of people don't understand about all this, if you listen to his statement, he basically said Marty Herney's safe for a long time. So anybody thinking Herney's going to go, he pretty much confirmed that Herney's there for quite some time. But Rivera, I think it was either something to do with a massive blow up, or he just wanted to be able to get a head start and first dibs on interviewing potential coaching candidates, because the Panthers' job is absolutely one of the top jobs in football.
Agreed.
Anything to add, John?
Yeah, we could go a lot of different directions. For all we know, maybe Rivera felt the seat getting hot. He walked into Tepper's office and said, "Hey, what are we doing here? What are your thoughts on me?" And maybe Tepper told him, "Listen, you asked, I'll answer. The way things are going right now, I don't see being brought back next year." And maybe Rivera said, "Okay, if that's the case, let's just call this now." And and you don't want me, and I'm not going to outstay my welcome if that's how you feel. And I read that while Tepper may not like him to stay as the coach, and obviously that's the decision. He does like Rivera as a man, as a person.
He's a great person.
Yeah. So I think Tepper may have done this now, like I said earlier on the show, to to give Rivera a chance. He's going to wind up somewhere as a head coach,
as a DC,
or as an outside shot as a head coach. The rumor is he might be the Giants' next guy.
If he's smart, he takes the Giants' defensive coordinator job and he lets someone else bear the brunt of the head coach and let himself shine in a big position because he's still getting good money. But it comes down to ego. But continue.
Yeah. Well, I think Tepper had enough respect for him as a person to maybe do this now to allow him to find his next landing spot. It's obviously not going to be in Charlotte, so give the man a chance, whether it's as a DC or a head coach, to kind of get the groundwork laid on where his next gig's going to be. I think it was a respect thing there.
All right, Blake. Well, before we let you go, man, any questions that you got for before we let you go here? Any questions, DFS? I know you're a DFS guy. Anything before we let you off today?
Yeah. As far as what Newman was saying just a while ago about Gurley, playing him on DraftKings as opposed to FanDuel, would Gurley be a better play for DraftKings or FanDuel, considering FanDuel only does the half-point PPR?
What's that now? Say that last part again.
Considering FanDuel is only a half-point PPR as opposed to DraftKings, which is a full point.
And you're asking which one to start Gurley?
Would he be a better play on FanDuel or DraftKings?
Well, are you playing some DFS lineup where you have to start Gurley?
No, I happen to like Gurley. I've
Jesus
got a little man crush on Gurley.
All right, well, I'll put it to you this way. Gurley's going to get his touches. He's going to get a lot of touches. Seattle can be susceptible to major runs. I just think there's a major problem in LA right now, and I think they're going to get shit whipped. That being said, you start Gurley absolutely in DraftKings because when Jared Goff drops back to throw the last couple of weeks, ever since he's had no line and defenses have finally figured out take away option 1 and option 2, and that man has no clue what to do with himself, like no clue. Gurley and the tight ends are the ones, Higbee, tight ends, people like that. Gurley are going to be people that benefit. So you want those PPRs. So definitely a Gurley in DraftKings. Now, a smarter option might be to actually go into DraftKings and take Gurley in a showdown, in-game showdown, like a captain's mode, and captain Gurley and build a team based off of that. Because you can build a team based off of Gurley. The rest of the team you can build semi-cheap. But I think those could be a solid stop. So that would be some advice for me. But we got to continue, man. So thanks for stopping in and calling like always. Hope to see you Sunday, bud.
Yes, sir, buddy. Y'all take
Hey, good seeing you, Blake.
All right. Once again, Blake calling in as always. Hey, Jackie, my sister is watching as well. Yeah, and much respect, yes. But yes, we've all wanted to go on. Cracky, you're more than welcome to call as well. Simply click that link and call in, crack. But all right, so where were we? I just talked about the Seahawks, it was, right?
All right. Seahawks, Rams.
Okay, so we hit Seahawks, Rams, which is the next one on the list. All right, the next one is I'm actually going one like you, over under this week, and it's really, I don't know. I struggled with whether I was going to take the over or under in this for a long time because these are two teams that could absolutely just completely shit the bed, or they could be absolutely on fire every single week. But I decided at the last minute, I decided to take the under of 46. And that, of course, is in the Philly New York Giants game. So I've got the Philly New York Giants game at an under 46. And the reason that I like the under in this and what really came to this conclusion the most was I don't have faith in Carson Wentz and Philly's offense. They've got a lot of injuries. And I haven't had faith in the Giants like ever. So I just don't see them putting up 46 points. I see that would mean both of those teams would have to score about 28 points for that to really realistically happen. And I just don't see around 23 points for that realistically to happen. And I don't see it happening. So I'm going to have to go here this week with an under of 46.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I wouldn't touch that over and under, but I think you touched on some stuff that I can't argue with. Wentz is not playing well. The Giants are not playing well. Looks like Eli Manning takes the field again as Daniel Jones is nicked up. Saquon, between injuries, has been disappointing, honestly, and he's one of my favorite non-Steeler players.
Yeah.
He just can't seem to get anything going behind that line, recovering from the injury. I think the coaching staff there in New York is brutal. And I think it's affecting Saquon's production. It's why I brought up that maybe Saquon's going to need to get out of there.
He has to get out of there. He
Yeah.
has to get out of there.
Yeah. So I won't touch the spread, but sometimes when you get two teams like this struggling, you know this too, Drew, is sometimes you get just one of them ugly turnover-filled, points scored off turnovers, 35-24 type nasty, really poor football games.
Definitely.
So I could see something like that, and the over and unders. It didn't entice me. Obviously, I didn't pick this game, but I'd probably stay away from that. I just, even though I agree, you got two teams maybe struggling. There might be points scored in this game, just not very pretty in the process of doing it.
It's going to be an interesting one way or the other, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, now on to my lock of the week. And I'm going to tell you, man, this was hard to do. This was really, really, really hard for me to write. But hold on one second. It'll be close. Marcelo, what up, buddy? I didn't know you were watching. What's going on, my man? I do agree with you. It is going to be close. It's a rivalry game, like you said. You think Eli throws for 350 useless yards, like from the sidelines? Or did I miss the news that the Giants are dumb enough to put Eli back in?
Well, Daniel Jones is hurt.
Oh, Daniel Jones is hurt. Okay. All right. Well, wow. Okay. That's terrible. All right. Sorry for the Giants. That makes me feel even better. All right. Now, to my lock of the week. This hurt to do. This really, 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 really hurt. But Panthers at +3. That's my lock of the week. I'm taking the Panthers at +3. I'm not taking them to necessarily lose the game. I'm not saying that we're going to lose this game. I just see it's us against Atlanta in Atlanta. Now, historically, we tend to win in each other's home field. They tend to beat us in Carolina. We tend to beat them in Atlanta. They also tend to be 1 to 3 point games. So giving me the 3 points on the road means that they're basically saying we'd be a 6 point favorite. And so because Atlanta should be at 3 right away. So, I mean, giving us that really gives us a 6 point favorite in my eyes. You give the Panthers at 3, I will take them all day long. So my lock is Panthers at +3. I do not know if we win this game. Two things are going to happen. We're either going to rally around the lead singer of Jane's Addiction and North Turner's new addition to the offense, Perry Farrell. I mean, we're either going to rally around those guys and actually come out and perform like we should, or we're going to just show that we packed it in and, maybe the spirit, maybe Ron Rivera just killed the locker room. One of the two things are going to happen. I still think, though, Atlanta is bad enough and they're playing bad enough that we can keep it close enough to keep it a 3-point game. So my lock of the week is the Panthers at +3.
Yeah, I like this pick for you. I could see them just winning the game outright, rallying against the change in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
This another one of the guys in this game is one of my DFS picks. I think this game sets up well for CMC. I think you got Scott Turner calling his first game as an NFL OC.
He's
What do
going to
you do?
lean heavily.
Yeah.
He's going to lean heavily on Christian McCaffrey and what his dad has done for him.
Yep. So this is going to be a heavy McCaffrey workload type of game. Again, like you said, when these two teams get together, they're usually close scores. So I think, you're getting 3 points. I think it could be a 3-point type game, and it could be where the Panthers actually just win the game by 3 points themselves. And so I can't argue that pick at all, really. I didn't take it myself, but I would have went that direction. And I don't think anytime the Atlanta Falcons are favored this year, you can't trust them enough to put money on them.
No. All right, guys. So a quick recap before we go to the DFS. I've got the Colts at +3, Seahawks at Pick'em, Philly and the New York Giants. Giants, not Jets, it says. Mine is under 46. And my lock at Panthers +3. While Mr. Newman has the Browns at -8. That same game at over 41. Really putting a lot into that game itself.
Yeah.
Baltimore versus Buffalo, the under at 43.5. And his lock of the week, which I love, Kansas City and New England at under 49. And, it's coming close, John. It's 18-21-1 is my record, 22-18-0. So 4 games behind you, 3.5, really.
Yeah, I was going to say less. And a bad week by me and a good week by you, and the whole cart gets turned around. So, and we don't have any mutual games, so it could be a potential 4-game swing potentially.
It could be a big one as we head towards the time where really we decided absolutely nothing. So this could mean nothing whatsoever. But now, guys, as we move on from that, which, guys, if you have any questions about any games this week that we didn't cover, the over-under spread, DFS stuff as we continue, call in and ask or write a comment. Let us know. We'd be glad to answer. If you got a question on who you should start this week, whatever it is, interact with us, guys. We're going to be doing some really cool giveaways here really soon, and it's going to start with the people that interact the most. So get on in here and interact, and let's talk some football. But as I say that, John, it's time now to go to our DFS sleepers and starters. And I, of course, am going to let you start us off.
Well, I actually talked about them both. My sleeper we talked about, and it's weird saying that he's a sleeper, but that's where his career is at the moment. Right. It's Todd Gurley in that Rams game. I don't think people think he's the same player anymore. That's where the sleeper part comes in. I think
he'll be owned around 17 to 20% in some of the bigger leagues, which is 100% sleeper.
Yep, I think he slid down that running back tier list and into that 3rd or 4th tier, if not lower. And I think people have kind of lost faith in him, and I think that's why I said earlier. I think McVay is going to give him the ball quite a bit and
A lot.
just say, "What are you? Where are we with you? What are we with you? And what are you?" And because I have to make a decision, roster wise with you next year, and so I think this is going to be sort of one of them litmus test type games to who Todd Gurley is in 2019 and going forward. And so it's really going to be a boom or bust game. He's either going to have one of those games where you still think he's got some gas in the tank, or he's going to struggle where everyone who's doubting him is going to say, "See, we told you so."
Right.
And so I think it's no in betweens. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah. Guys, while we go through this, please comment or jump on the phone to answer this question that I just posted. Who is your DFS sleeper of the week? Do you agree with us? Disagree? Do you have a guy that you think is the sleeper of the week? Comment or call in. You never know. You might even win something. All right, John. So now you went from a sleeper. I love that to Gurley. He's had a crazy career. He's gone from a dead starter and rookie with insane height to a dud that's a massive sleeper that could do nothing to a superstar that you need to start every week, and now right back down to a sleeper. It's an odd career for Gurley, but I love him as a sleeper pick, especially in deep leagues. I wouldn't necessarily take him in 500 person leagues, but in very, very deep leagues of 1,000 to 10,000 people, he's going to be owned by 8 to 15% of people. If he does end up having that big day, Todd Gurley could end up being the difference of you winning this week.
Yep.
All right, so now who's the starter, my man?
Again, we talked about him too. Well, I'll go into more detail. I think it's Christian McCaffrey this week. I
Nice.
think you got a young offensive coordinator with the play calling card for the first time ever at this level in Scott Turner. And I don't care who your dad is. His dad could have been Vince Lombardi. That those butterflies, those nerves are going to be there. I think when you get in that situation, you ride your horse. And I think we both know this. That horse is named Christian McCaffrey. So I think he's going to design and call plays to get handoffs to Christian, obviously. And he's going to probably design those pass plays to get him the ball in space, the little dump offs, the little screens, the bubble screens. And I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey for the Falcons. The Falcons defense is not the Falcons Dan Quinn defense of yesteryear. And so I think this just sets up for some video game type numbers potentially for Christian and a Scott Turner led offense. And I know he's not going to be cheap, which is why he's the the boom player here, but I think you're going to get a return on investment, even though he's going to cost you some money.
Yeah, no, I love the pick. I love every reason behind it. I think it's awesome. And what's up, everyone watching? If you are watching in Scammers Exposed, if you are questioning why it's on, it's because I'm an admin and you guys like football, so I'm dropping in to say what's up. Hey, we got a caller on the line. All right, someone answering our question. See, guys, it's this easy. You click a fucking button, and you're right on in here. So let me go in and add our man in. I think it's a first-time caller, but he's been on my podcast a few times, I do believe. Mr. Dolphin Dan, what's up, dude?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good, bud. So how can we help you today?
Hey,
Welcome to Roughing the Passer first, my man.
All right, here's my question now.
What's up?
Who's gonna go higher in the draft? Is it gonna be Chase Young, Joe Burrow, or Tua?
Name those again. Chase Young, Tua, and who?
Burrow.
Burrow. If it was me, I love Burrow.
Yeah, you do.
So,
John, I'm going to defer to you first. So, John, throw it to me.
well, I mean, Dan, as you know, with the draft, it really depends who has those picks, and it's looking like right now. What I think the Bengals still have the worst record, so they're going to have that number one pick. Do they like Burrow? Do they skip a quarterback because they think they have something in Ryan Finley? I don't know if I go that far, but I'm not in the Bengals war room, so I could see the Bengals taking a quarterback, and then it becomes whether they like Tua or Burrow more. Miami, as you know, being a fan, is going to have a high pick, maybe at number 2, potentially still number 1 if the Bengals win another game and that sort of thing. And so I know, and you can probably speak to this, Dan. I know the Dolphins are reportedly very high on Tua. So, so I think I could see even Tua going at 1 or 2, wherever Miami winds up slotted out.
Yeah.
And, the Bengals could take Young, being an Ohio kid, or at Ohio State. They could stay local and keep him there and say, let's roll the dice with Finley another year. And then if he doesn't pan out, we go into the 2021 draft shopping for a quarterback, or they just say, let's take Young and we sign a veteran quarterback for a year or two. So that's the fun of the draft and the off season, is all this stuff that gets to shake out. I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. Me and my son, who's going to be 20 years old, he kind of debates me a little bit on this. But Burrow's kind of before this year, he was just really good, and now he's great. And do you take the more experienced guy? I think the injury to Tua's hip is interesting, and how that plays into if teams see him as maybe injury prone. Did we pick this guy and he's just going to get injured again, and maybe he's off the field more than he's on it? This is the beauty of football, is we having these discussions about all this stuff, and so it's going to be an interesting draft, to say the very least.
Well, it's going to come down to a lot of things, Daniel. It's going to come down to, honestly, what teams actually get left, what teams trade up, what teams move down, what teams ultimately need, what they think. If it's me, and if I have the number 1 pick in this draft, I have to 100% go with Chase Young. And there's one reason for that. The rule used to be, you have to take that quarterback number 1. You have to. If you don't, you're screwing up all this stuff, marketing, yada, 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 blah, 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 whatever. If you want a quarterback in the first round so bad, that's fine. If you're up at the top of the draft, you've got enough capital to trade back into the first round, grab a quarterback later, and keep that extra year of control. I get why people go after the quarterbacks, just like why Lamar Jackson was drafted in the first round instead of the beginning of the second. That extra year of control. I totally understand why you want to do that, but you cannot pass up on this kid. I'm telling you right now, Chase Young, one of the best pure pass rushers we've seen in my opinion, in decades. And I think he could be one of the best ever. The quarterback class, especially now with Tua hurt, it's back to a bunch of guys with what ifs, with a bunch of issues. If I don't see a quarterback that I look at that says they are pro ready to lead my team through a playoff push to a Super Bowl, right then, in my opinion, they're not worth the number 1 pick.
Right. I think the same thing. As a Dolphins guy, I almost don't want to get a quarterback this year. I don't.
Right.
I've never been high on Tua. I like the main guy that I like is Justin Herbert.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens, man. And thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah, have a good one, bud.
Yeah.
All right. Once again, Daniel calling in. Man, we've had some callers. We're turning this preview into.
Yeah, I think we're doing two. We're doing two shows a week
doing
now.
2 shows this week. I guess keep them coming, though, guys. But anyway, so now are we on to my guys now? Is that where we were at?
Yeah. Yep. On the
All
DFS.
right. Once again, call in with your DFS questions or your guys of the week. But my guy, my starter of the week. These are going to be some weird guys. These are going to be guys, all of you guys, I think they're playing DFS know how to pick your Mahomes or Brady or which quarterback to start. So we're going to be going with a couple of different things. My starter of the week is going to be James White of the Patriots. And you may be saying to yourself, wait a minute, the Patriots have 500 running backs. Each one plays a different role every single week. What on earth would make you in a million years pick James White as a start of the week? Well, this week, the Pats are going to be passing an awful lot against New England, especially when they're having to come back from so far. They're going to be passing quite a bit. New England's defense sets up for a lot of dumping. Their defense is going to strictly, it's not hard to beat the Patriots receivers anymore. Brady's arm can't beat you. The receivers can't run good enough routes. It's very easy to keep the receivers in front of you and make Brady dump them off. And that's what you're going to see happen Sunday. And who are those dump offs going to go to? Mr. James White. PPR leagues, DraftKings especially, where you get that full point, James White is a starter. And at 5,500, you can pair him and Christian McCaffrey or him and I guess you can't do Dalvin Cook now. So him, Christian McCaffrey, or him and Aaron Jones, and have plenty of room for a stacked receiving core. So that's my start of the week this week.
I like it, but I could take the other side of that coin and say they want to run the ball and have the clock wind down.
It's a very risky pick. A very risky pick.
But here's the thing: we both know this. The Patriots use that short passing game as a running game, so I can't argue with you. But I can also see Sony Michel having a kind of a ground and pound, run the clock. Keep the clock moving, keep Mahomes off the field type of game too, or probably a little of both. Truth be told, I think it's going to be both of those guys at different points.
Oh yeah, I don't think by any means it's going to be a one-man show. It never is in New England. I just see James White being possibly the one getting the goal line stuff, especially. But now on to some sleepers, and I've actually got 2 this week for you. And let's see. The reason that there's it's hard to explain. Okay. I've got 2 guys here for you, and I'm going to go on and start with the first one is wide receiver Christian Kirk. And the reason I'm going with Christian Kirk is for the simple fact that he's had a couple of pretty bad games the last couple of weeks. They haven't been great. He's been known to come back from those bad games pretty well lately. But if there's anything he can do is he's going to get the targets. The targets are going to come to him no matter what. They're going to be going right at him every single week. It always happens. And this week is a very, very favorable matchup for him. I mean, when you look at Pittsburgh, I know he's playing your boys in Pittsburgh, but you look at that matchup against Pittsburgh in the slot. Pittsburgh's defense is a very good defense, but if there's one position that they kind of have an issue with, it is the slot. And that's where I see them doing their damage this week. And that's why I think that's who ends up, that's why Christian Kirk's one of my guys this week.
I like Christian Kirk. truth be told, and bringing a little hobby back into this show.
Yeah.
He's a guy, along with DJ Moore, where I've put some cards away, let's just say, and stocked him up. I'm hoping I'm right because they're playing the Steelers. I don't know if this is the week that happens. The Steelers secondary is actually playing a lot better. They really upgraded that position this year, adding Steven Nelson and then the Minka Fitzpatrick trade here mid-season. Where Steelers have trouble, Drew, covering guys the most is the tight ends. They really struggle when to out into the flat and having a linebacker like Vince Williams or Mark Barron try to cover them. So tight ends have had better days against us than receivers, and I think you got Bud Dupree and TJ Watt really causing commotion in the backfield. So I'm hoping Kyler Murray doesn't have a lot of time to set his feet and start and hitting these guys downfield. Yeah. So I hope I'm right. I don't see it being a Christian Kirk week this week. But if this was Steelers 2018, I'd be all over this. But I don't want to reverse jinx it saying this. They've sort of cleaned up the back end compared to what it has been.
All right. Well, to change everything up, I have one more guy this week. And guys, please, like I said, before we wrap up today's show, I would love to have one more caller, someone else call in. Tell us who is your DFS sleeper of the week, or if there's a game you think people should bet on, anything, hit us up just in the next couple minutes. Please, I want one more caller, at least every show. But anyway, I got one more, John, if you don't mind. Can I throw two at you?
Go ahead.
I got a secret one this week that I think could be huge. And that is Raheem Mostert. You ever heard of him?
Oh, yeah, from the 49ers.
Yes, exactly. Kid had a monster week last year. Even if Breida comes back healthy, I think the 49ers are at a spot right now where they're going to find a way to implement him into the offense. A lot of these new coaches are very good at when one of these guys has a breakout game, they've realized now, oh shit, these guys don't have a ton of tape on this guy. I've got a couple weeks where I can really use him. And I think this is something where you can use him even going into the playoffs to where you end up having a couple of extra deadly weapons. It's kind of how Tyreek Hill started out. He did not start out as a massive big guy. He started out as a one-trick pony, which was reverses. He showed he could do reverses. They threw him to screens, and then he went from screens on to everything. And this is something where I think this kid could really do something special this week. I love him this week, especially because of his matchup. So, I mean, right there alone, just the matchup with San Francisco, I love. So, Sterling, he's one of my other guys this week. So, those are my two sleepers of the week.
Yeah, San Fran, they've just used 3 or 4 different backs this year. Even Jeff Wilson Jr., Breida, most of. So that's the issue there is they don't have that bell cow guy yet, and so these guys are every week it seems like it is someone else, and I guess the benefit to that is whoever it is, they don't have as much tread on their tire. They're pretty fresh and sort of like a rotational type of basis. So if he's the guy this week, like you said, for a sleeper and for what he's going to cost you, he's probably could pay dividends.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. So, John, before we wrap up today's show, as we ended up going a little long, I know that's my fault, especially with the funeral today that we had to do. It was only right that we had a funeral for Ron Rivera because he was fired, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But wanted to go over a couple of things with you guys because obviously we're going to be obviously, and by the way, guys, please call in before the end of the show. Let us know your DFS sleeper of the week. But the holidays are coming up, guys. We're going to be doing lots of cool stuff. Next week, I'll actually be broadcasting from down in Florida while we do this. So it'll be a little bit different looking show, but we won't be missing any shows. So do not worry about that whatsoever. We will be having them all. But, got some really cool stuff coming for you guys, including we're working on it right now. Some pretty cool giveaway stuff. And one way we're going to be doing this giveaway is the people that call in to the show are going to be getting at least one extra entry into these contests, because I want the people that call in and are interactive in the show to be rewarded for that in some way. And that's the best way we can right now. And we'll be giving you guys lots more information on that in the future. But John, anything else this week, you think?
I think it's a part of the season here with the wild card races heating up. We're getting pretty close. I mean, this is crunch time football. A loss at this part of the year can spell doom for a team, and a win for another team can put them right back in the mix. So this is the part of the year where, the saying, the men get separated from the boys, the cream rises to the top. I love football every week, but when you get to this part of the year, it's December football. This is where things really get decided. Not even so much just who makes the playoffs, but who gets what seed, who's going to be facing who gets a bye, who gets home field advantage, and all those things. So almost every game has some sort of impact to what shakes out here. And that's the beauty of December football.
Oh, no, it is. It's awesome. I love it. The weather gets cold. You find out those teams that are used to playing out in the sun and never tried playing indoors once. I love it. It's a great time. They did such a great job with altering the schedule to where so many division games are so late in the year. I mean, they've done a lot to make these games matter. And, December football is incredibly important football. And, if there's one thing you can count on in December football, is that Roughing the Passer, the show right here with Newman and myself, we're going to be covering it for you. But guys, we're going to bounce. So until Sunday, we will talk to you guys later. See ya.